What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Golden Dice Podcast. Wow, messed up the intro by myself, but just me today. It was a hectic weekend to try to get anything scheduled. I was away for a wedding, came back, did a showdown, which I'm not going to talk about, and then yeah, we were all just kind of exhausted Sunday night, so didn't record. So I'm going to try to get this out because we just got news. This is Monday morning that this week is the last week, so I want to try to get ahead of these spoilers so we don't have 70 to do by the time our next spoiler recording is. So recording this around noon on Monday. Going to pretty much upload and get this ready to go as soon as it's done. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. First one we have is Satine, and she's a ground unit. She's 4 cost, vigilance, heroism, committed to peace, 0 attack, 6 health, Mandalorian official. She is a legendary, and she says each unit, including enemy units, gains action, exhausts that unit. Discard cards from an opponent's deck equal to half this unit's remaining HP, rounded up. So Mill is coming to Star Wars Unlimited. Now the dev said they didn't want to push Mill to be super competitive within the game, but you know, we'll just see how that comes out. Obviously, you can look at some big units with lots of health that you can consistently mill with. Just the interesting part is that your opponent gets it as well. So you're generally going to be the second one to do that unless you already have like a big booty unit out ready to go with her. But this is an awesome legendary. I think this fits like the mold of what legendaries have been and kind of reminds me of set 1 legendaries a little bit more than set 2. So excited to have Satine in the game. And, I mean, it fits her theme. It's an awesome mechanic to bring to the game. Hopefully it's not, like, crazy pushed. But, I mean, these Iden double blue players will probably be more than happy to pay 6 for this card. And then it's like your opponent now has to spend one of their cards to remove this. They generally want all their cards to do some damage. So, that's the team for you. Like her. And then we have Padme, who's a 2-cost ground unit, cunning heroism, pursuing peace. 1 attack, 4 health, Naboo, Republic official, coordinate. On attack, give an enemy unit -3, -0 for this phase. She's an uncommon. I mean, haven't been high on coordinate as we've said before, but a turn 1 play that has 4 health is going to be pretty nice. I don't know how good that coordinate is going to be. Obviously, it'll be really nice to like just blank some things. You know, with you go first, you play Padme, they play Marine or Sabine, Viper Probe Droid, Crafty Smuggler, things like that. You know, it's not going to die to any of those things. And then if you are able to create 2 tokens the next your next action, and then able to you know, hit into them and basically blank all their damage. It could be interesting, but I don't really have high hopes because 1/4, you know, currently I'd rather just play like probably like R2-D2 and C-3PO are some good 1/4s that you can kick off with in heroism that any heroism deck can run. So not huge on her, but if Republic and official really matter, which I don't think they do, official for heroes, and Republic will just have to keep an eye on for what can work with that. And then next, we actually have one of the leaders that I'm most excited so far. Is we have Yoda. He's vigilance. He's heroism. He's sensing darkness. He's a leader. Action, exhaust him. If a unit left play this phase, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. He's Force, Jedi, Republic, epic action. If you control 7 or more resources, deploy this leader. He is 4 attack, 9 health, and then has Restore 2, and as when deployed, you may discard a card from your deck. If you do, defeat an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same as or less than the discarded card. This has to be from the top of the deck, as has been clarified before of discarding from the deck. You can't just go through your deck, discard your highest thing. It's got to be what's on top. But obviously Yoda's ability helps with that a lot. So, I mean, I'm a pretty big fan, and I don't know necessarily what colors this all goes into, but even things like R2-D2 could help with that. You know, if you go into yellow, you could get Ezra, could help with that. If you go into red, you get like 4 Cause could help with that. And then even, you know, you could potentially stack your deck to U-Wing reinforcement. You know, if you're able to like get a trade that round and like put something that you want to see in U-Wing reinforcement, you know, then maybe you have like an Akbar in hand and you want to stack that with 2 more units from U-Wing. Like, there's some interesting lines that I feel like you can take with Yoda. And then even like going into green, we'll see a little bit later with another spoiler, but stuff like Gore who are in green, if you pair Yoda with that, like these exploits that are neutral that you can put into heroism who have high cost, but they have several exploit on them to bring them down, could be interesting with Yoda as well, because when they are discarded, Gore's dealing 12 to something, and that pretty much, or if something costs 12 or less, they're going to be defeated, which Gore pretty much covers. I don't think there's anything beyond that. But then there's even like the invasion of Christophsis or whatever. That's like, what, 14 or something? So there's some pretty interesting plays, I think, with exploit within Yoda decks. So I'm interested in him. I like him a lot. I mean, 9 health is great. 7 deploy is late, but he does have restore too, which is pretty nice. Some of the issues potentially, like, Rey can come out and get one shot having the 6 health. Granted, she, comes out a turn earlier and can be buffed to a 3/7 right away. Yoda having 9 health is going to make it pretty difficult for your opponent to kill him within, like, one singular action, as far as I'm aware off the top of my head. So I like Yoda a lot. He brings something to Hero that I think was needed. And just when deployed, I'm just looking more and more at. I've just really loved Kira's ability. When deploy, her ability to deal all that damage. And so it's like we talk about wanting, your 5, 6, 7 more drops to have an instant impact when that happens. And these when deployeds do that. So these later cost leaders who you're like, they might not come out and have an effect on the game. Well, Yoda can snipe something instantly. And even just like before that, cycling your hand to get what you want is pretty good, right? If you have a dead card in your hand, but you're able to do a trade, or, just a unit left play this phase, you can draw a card. You can put that stinky card on the bottom of the deck or back on top because, you want it, but you really need something else right now. So I think that cycle ability is just powerful in and of itself. And the unit leaving play this phase isn't terribly hard, and it costs no resources. So I'm a fan of Yoda. Next up, we have Duchess's Champion. 4-cost ground unit, double vigilance, 1 attack, 8 health, Mandalorian. While an opponent controls 3 or more units, this unit gains Sentinel. 1/8, uncommon. Certainly interesting. Obviously goes great with the Satine mill package with 8 health. 1 attack, it eats up all the battle droids. I mean, this is like basically something where you're like, I need to buy time for what I want to do. But it's also interesting in that they could ram either a battle droid in, and then if they lose, now they only have 2 units. The other 2 units can go right into base with that. So I don't think he's amazing, but I'm sure there's some corner scenarios where he certainly can shine, right? If they do have 5 battle droids out, then yeah, he's probably looking better than that. So next up, we have another double aspect card, 6-cost event, unlimited power. It is double aggression and has the Force tree. Deal 4 damage to a unit, 3 damage to a second unit, 2 damage to a third unit, and 1 damage to a fourth unit. All damage is dealt simultaneously, and this is a legendary. I mean, I definitely think there's some blowout plays with this, no doubt. But like a double aspect card, I'm not totally sure what double aspect aggression wants this right now. And there's definitely a large amount of times where this would be too situational because, like, if they have 2 units out and you have a unit out, you're going to have to deal that 2 damage to your unit. And obviously there's some scenarios with grit and things like that, or maybe you have a shield on your person and they don't. Like, those situations definitely can see the value in it. I just feel like it's a little bit too narrow to consistently get that good value out of it. Yeah, 6 cost, double aggression. Obviously, if you can snipe 4 units, if you line all that up, that is going to be, you're going to feel great for 6. But maybe even killing 2 units isn't too bad if you have nothing on your board and you can deal 4 and 3 to kill something. But, even think about some of the stuff that comes out, like Poe, like if they ramp Poe, Wrecker, there's, Mauls and Vaders and things like that, that can not really care about this card. So I love the art, though. Love the art. It is a legendary, too, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that. And then next up, we have an 11-cost space unit, Republic Defense Carrier, Command Heroism. And this is one I was talking about with Yoda a little bit more. You'll see why it kind of synergizes with him a little bit. But 6 attack, 7 health, Republic Vehicle, Capital Ship. This unit costs 1 less to play for each unit controlled by the opponent who controls the most units. And it has Sentinel. It's an uncommon. So really, talking Premier, it's just however many units your opponent has, this is decreased by that. Twin Suns is where all the extra wording comes into play. It is just weird because it's like the swarm strategies are like all on the ground, and it's like, okay, I can play 6/7 Space Sentinel. Not totally sure what that does for you, but I mean, certainly, like I said, if you can get this with Yoda that defeats 11 or less, and then you potentially have the ability to play this for 6, 7, 8, 8 is probably realistic. I mean, we'll have to see how long tokens stick on the board for this, but yeah, I don't know. Not like amazed by it because, like I said, it's just even just the basis of swarm strategies go ground, and here's a Space Sentinel feels a little rough. Maybe set 4 with all the piloting or whatever that set is called with flying and stuff, that there's a chance to get that jump to light speed yet. So, but as of right now, even with tokens coming into play, even with this being decreased by that, feeling like it's a little lackluster. But if you're looking for a good space unit, this actually kind of piques my interest. 3-cost space unit, Just Command, Republic Arc 170, 3 attack, 4 health, Republic Vehicle Fighter, and it's a common. I mean, this isn't like going crazy, but I mean, 3/4 in space on 3? That seems pretty good. I mean, it can eat up the A-Wings, it can eat up the can eat up arcs, it can eat up Red 3s, it can eat up the Black Sun Starfighter, it can eat up the Inferno 4s. I mean, obviously, like Inferno 4s, you don't care because they're probably not going crazy in space. And live. Like, even if the A-Wing hits into this, it lives, right? That was kind of the downside, and sometimes, like, the chicken game sometimes of, like, A-Wings and Red 3s, and then even, like, Consortium Star Viper, and then the Black Sun Starfighter. Like, they all die if the A-Wing attacks into them, whereas this can eat that and still kill. So it's, I mean, 3/4 in space. If you need a booty, I think this is a pretty good one. I dig it. I mean, I can see this slotting into some decks that just need a 3-drop in space, especially in Command. Like, Command is, like, what do they have? Like, what is their, if they want to rush space, what's their turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 plays, right? Like, it was Consortium. Villains had the Black Sun Starfighter, but they're lacking a little bit, and I think this helps bring it in. Heroes definitely had more picks of space in the lower costs. So, yeah, I think this is pretty fine. Really good in all the limited events, and I think this could see some premiere. Next is a 4-cost space unit, also single command, Subjugating Starfighter. 3 attack, 3 health, Separatist Vehicle Fighter, has ambush, and when played, if you have the initiative, create a battle droid token. It's a common. Yeah, I mean, 3/3 ambush, obviously amazing. Something that you're going to be happy about, especially with the stat lines like I've talked about within space. 4 cost feels bad, like you really want to hit having the initiative and creating a battle droid token if you were ambushing this F4. Because they, like, if you're playing 3/3 in space to just kill their Red 3 or something, then, they could follow up with something pretty big, or just dodge you into ground. So it's not like lighting the world on fire, but again, could be fine in these command decks that struggle a little bit to have some early space contention. And, if you create the battle droid, you get 4/4 worth of stats on your board, even though it's not all on the single spaceship. Next, we have an event. It's Encouraging Leadership, 3-cost, Just Command, and it's learned. Give each friendly unit +1/+1 for this phase. Common. I don't think it's great. I mean, I could see this in, again, those decks that are leaning heavy into token creation, but this isn't something that I'm, like, super excited about. I believe Tyler pulled this off on stream on the 2-player with Ahsoka, and it certainly piqued my interest because he had like 5 units, and I was like, huh, okay. But in reality, I don't think that it's going to be like an all-common situation. But yes, if you give +1/+1 to like 3 clone trooper tokens, Ahsoka, and like another unit, paying 3 to give out 5/5 worth of stats is pretty nice, and turning them all into 3/3s is definitely pretty good. I just don't know if that's consistent enough to be used. Next up, we have Dendup's Loyalist, 2-cost ground unit, aggression, 2 attack, 3 health, fringe trooper, overwhelm. Don't really have much to say. I mean, it's great at clearing tokens, at battle droid tokens specifically, but 2 cost, 2/3 isn't really that great. Oh, I reckon I did a quick Google. He's from the planet Ondarion, which tried to remain neutral, but it backfired as they installed the Puppet King Sanjay Rash. So there's your little backstory on Dendup's loyalists. Yeah, good at clearing battle droids, would probably find in draft limited, but 2/3, 2-drop. I think especially at this point it is just kind of getting phased out a little bit. Not that it really has been in more recent times, anyways. 1 cost, ground unit, independent senator, cunning, 0 attack, 4 health, separatist official, action, pay 2, exhaust him, and then you can exhaust a unit with 4 or less power, uncommon. 1 cost, 4 health, can help keep your coordinate online. I mean, even just playing him and then exploiting him, you've netted a resource. That's about all I have. If you're playing hero, just play Grogu if you really want to constantly exhaust things. I'm probably never seen that ability used frequently. Yeah, just key heal. 4 health will keep your coordinate online easier, and you can net a resource with exploit. Then we have a 2 cost ground unit B1 security team. It is just cunning, 3 attack, 1 health, separatist droid trooper, has sentinel. It's a common. I actually really like this. It forces your opponent to go into it. Yes, it's going to feel bad if they just hit it with a battlefield, not battlefield marine, a droid token, a 1/1. But if they hit it with your battlefield marine, or if they hit it, I mean, Sabine counters this pretty well. But, you know, the idea there is that it's just a 3/1 that can definitely eat something early game, which is going to be something that you're pretty happy about. You know, can't be pulled with a lot of things. You know, obviously can't be pulled with like Vader and stuff like that. But certainly just 3/1 has Sentinel. Like, people have been even playing the Gamorrean Retainer a little bit. Granted, that's more for the Underworld and just 3 attack. But that has conditional Sentinel, whereas this one just always gets it. So I'm a fan of this. I could see this being played in Premiere if you are looking to stall the game out, looking to have options to give Sentinel to not take damage on your base that round. So I'm a fan. I like it. Next up, we have I think this is our second 0 cost event in the game. I know Medal Ceremony. I don't think there were any in set 2. I don't remember. Event in Pursuit. It's a tactic, just cunning. Exhaust a friendly unit. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit. It's a common, and this is the artwork on the new map that has the zones, I believe, from episode 6 when they're riding through Endor. I don't know. I mean, in a pinch, if you need it in these limited formats, I think it'd be good. I don't really see this as constructed playable. Obviously, like, yes, the line of exhausting a token to exhaust their big thing is pretty good. But that's like a situational card that you need to set up. But I mean, 0 cost is nice. And sometimes there could just be things that you want to have these in the deck because you just want the flexibility of a 0 cost card. Next, we have a 1 cost space unit, droid starfighter, just villainy, 1 attack, 2 health, separatist droid vehicle fighter, has saboteur. Not good. I mean, just what does this saboteur do? I mean, unless there's like shielded space units that this can like take care of. Like, if there's like a 2/1 shielded unit that we see coming at any point in time, like, and it won't be this set because there's no shields, but could be interesting there. But like I said, these 1 costs are interesting because you can play a 1 cost, exploit it, and then play something, play something else. So you can net a resource from these small units with the exploit plan. So that's kind of where my mind goes with a lot of these smaller ones. Obviously not very interested in a 1/2. But I don't even know what it kills your patrolling V-Wings and lives. Sure. Now we have a 3 cost ground unit, just villainy again, and it's a super battle droid, 4 attack, 3 health, separatist droid trooper. I mean, seems fine. I mean, Echo Base stopped getting played. Granted, that's very much in a linear thinking of like Sabine. Sabine stopped playing it because they wanted more health units that they played for 3 resources. Cassian, Fighters for Freedom, Sundari Peacekeepers, or like a really good mechanic like Fleet Lieutenant. So we haven't seen a lot of 4/3s within the meta. It does feel worse as we've gone on and gotten more 3/5s for 3. So Yeah, that's kind of like my issue with it, right? If your opponent drops like Toro or Cassian or Boba or fighters, not fighters, the freed slaves, like there's a good amount of 3/5s that we've seen, especially from set 2. That's going to feel bad into this. But, I mean, it has 3 keywords on it and it has 4 attack. So, I mean, it's worth looking into any lists that are trying to run, these kind of swarm droid trooper type decks. But I also feel like at 3, I would rather just play that droid escort and get 2 tokens and then another one when the main one dies. But now we have something to get excited about. This is 4 cost Grievous's wheel bike. It's an upgrade. It is just villainy. While playing this upgrade on General Grievous, it costs 2 less to play. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains overwhelm. It gives +3/+3. And they get overwhelm with it. I mean, obviously, it's great. 2 costs for +3/+3 and overwhelm is insane if you're putting this on Grievous. And even just paying 4 to put +3/+3 and giving that thing overwhelm on like any other unit is also pretty good. So I do like this a lot. And I do want to point out, Gandork made this joke. Just because you give Luke Skywalker a lightsaber doesn't mean Luke is now a lightsaber. So I know there's some like vehicle things that people are looking for. Your unit doesn't become a vehicle, even though the upgrade is considered a vehicle. So, but yeah, this is like our first instance of a unit on a vehicle. And this is great. I like this a lot. If you know us from Destiny days, you know that we love Grievous's wheel bike. So I'm very excited to see this in the game. Next, we have a 2-cost event, droid deployment, just villainy. It's a supply, create 2 battle droid tokens, common. Love it. You'll see this played all the time, especially in Dooku decks, especially in Wat Tambor decks, especially in just these exploit villain decks. Like this is a really great turn 1 play in my mind. Because you can essentially pay 2, create 2 tokens, and if you have an exploit 2, boom. You just netted 2 resources on what you did. So I like this a lot. I'm a big fan of that. And it's even like separatist things. I'm trying to think any like 4 costs that has exploit 1. You could Dooku to give it exploit 2. I forget Dooku. Maybe Dooku does need something that has to happen for him to give that for that. But I think it's just the next separatist card you play from your hand. So I think there's a lot of good options to just create battle droid tokens. And then we have a 3-cost event, Merciless Contest. It's a tactic, just villainy. Each player chooses a non-leader unit they control. Defeat those units. Common. Now every deck has Power of the Dark Side, kind of. Art is phenomenal on this one. I love the Asajj and Savage going after Dooku. Looks sick. But yeah, I mean, obviously a little worse, because if you do have a board, you are going to have to sacrifice something, but maybe you do have a token out, especially in villain. Yeah, I mean, now every time you play a villain deck, you're going to have to be like, I might get Power of the Dark Side, because if you play something they claim, and then turn 2 they play this, you defeat a unit, and even if they have no units, then that's fine. So do as much as you can. Now we're getting into the heroism cards. We have a 5-cost space unit, ETA 2 light interceptor, just heroism, 3 attack, 4 health, Republic vehicle, fighter, has restore 2. It's a common. I don't think the traits can really carry this one. I don't know. I think there's just a lot better options. Like, even the Razor Crest is, 4 cost, 3/4, restore 2. At 5, this is not a lot of stats. Not a lot of stats. And, I mean, restore 2 obviously is nice, but I don't know. Yeah, I just don't think this make the cut. It'll be really good in draft, having a space unit potential that restores 2. I mean, we saw, like, from my experience, the twin pod one. I know that's that was a space unit. Even though, that was a controversy, is that it should have been ground. But like having that restore in space could be pretty nice and pretty relevant. So next we have an 8-cost ground unit, ATTE Vanguard, just heroism, 6 attack, 9 health, Republic vehicle walker, restore 3. When defeated, create 2 clone trooper tokens. Uncommon. Direct comparison is going to be to the Reinforcement Walker. The upside is that Reinforcement Walker has an immediate impact. The downside is the Reinforcement Walker can get blown out by removal. Sure, maybe they drew a card or healed 3, but then if you just get Power of the Dark Side or Super Laser Blast or whatever it might be, that's going to feel pretty bad. Whereas at least this, while it takes another moment to heal 3, it takes another turn to heal 3, it's better into some of those removal because now you get 2 Clone Trooper tokens afterwards. So I think this has a potential spot, but I mean, if you're in green, I do think that you probably play Reinforcement Walker instead, just to get that immediate impact on an 8-cost. So that's kind of just my thinking on it. Next, we have a 1-cost upgrade, Ahsoka's Padawan lightsaber. Heroism. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. When played, if attached unit is Ahsoka Tano, you may attack with a unit. It gives +2/+0 item, weapon, lightsaber. I mean, I think it's great. Just 1 for 2. Like, you see that in the the hot shot blaster. Give him +2, and you may attack with a unit. This is very similar. You don't have to attack with Ahsoka, which is interesting. And you can attack with some other things, whatever you might need on your board. So I do like this a lot. You know, there could be situations where maybe they have a Sentinel and you have like another unit with Overwhelm, or that makes a better trade. You place on Ahsoka, you attack with that. Now your next action, Ahsoka is free to go into base or something like that. And so you got the action economy of playing something, playing an upgrade, and being able to attack. So I like this a lot. This is a starter card. I know the Grievous wheel bike as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but big fan, big fan. Now we have 4-cost event drop in. It's just heroism. It's supply. Create 2 clone trooper tokens. Common. Art looks fantastic. I feel like this is worse than the battle droid one, simply because like there's some timings of like when you care about things and when you want to do things, and I feel like I'd rather make 2 tokens turn 1. Obviously, you can't do that with clones, right? Because they're 2/2s and not 1/1s. But like, is it really that bad if this is 3 for 4/4 worth of stats? Like, I don't know. I do really wish this was like a 3-cost. That 4 kind of feels a little bit tougher to play, but obviously, like, you're turning on coordinate. Like, you create 2, and if you already have something on the board that has coordinate, it is now online. So you're good to go. I mean, I think this could be, again, played in those decks that really want to make sure they have coordinate online, something that brings out a lot of tokens, something like Rex maybe, and that is trying to leverage Commander Cody and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And then we have another leader, Vizsla, pursuing the throne. His villainy, aggression, action, pay 1, exhaust him, deal damage to a unit equal to the number of cards you've drawn this phase. This doesn't include cards drawn in the regroup phase. He's Mandalorian, Trooper, Epic Action. If you control 5 or more resources, deploy this leader at 4/6. He's a rare. And then he says, he's 4 attack, 6 health. While you have 3 or more cards in your hand, this unit gains Saboteur. While you have 6 or more cards in your hand, this unit gets +2/+0. So, I mean, he could deploy as a 6/6 Saboteur at 5. And red is the color of drawing cards and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm trying to think what are some of the other ones where you do draw. Like, my mind's going him to mono with aggression. You can draw off that. But there's probably some other things that are escaping me. But certainly, like, the ability to give yourself more cards and then deal damage based off what you drew is a good ability. And so I do like that. The question just becomes, how much support do they have within that, right? This is, like, certainly interesting. Like, you know, you think about this, if he gets an upgrade like Mace Windu has, where Mace Windu's lightsaber, when played on Mace Windu, he draws 2 cards. If Vizsla gets something like that, I really start to get interested. But off the top of my mind right now, I'm struggling to think of some stuff that give you some easy access to drawing cards, right? Maybe you could run him red-blue, do a lot of, like, control, and then have, like, Dr. Pershing and things like that in your deck to help you draw. But, yeah, it's interesting. Like, I'm curious, how often will his ability on his leader side get played off? I mean, I think when you deploy at 5, it'll be easy to have Saboteur. It'll be harder to get the +2. So you just have to kind of wait and see. Now we have a 4-cost ground unit, no aspect, Brain Invaders. 2 attack, 4 health, fringe. Each leader loses all abilities except for their epic action and can't gain abilities. I think it's our first aspectless card. That's a rare. I love the art on this. I mean, it's certainly interesting, but I feel like it's just going to be too easy to deal with it. But, I mean, I think having a card like this in the game is going to be keep things interesting, right? Like, if your opponent's playing Kira and you drop this before she deploys, like, now she deploys as just a 0/8 that does damage to nothing. Or even if she did deploy and you assume they're trying to go for the overwhelming barrage and then you drop this, then she's a 0/8 with 4 damage. So there's definitely some lines there and some scenarios where I'm sure this could be interesting, or even like blocking Palp from drawing or stealing things and stuff like that. Like, but it's definitely going to be dealt with for 4 costs and 4 health. Obviously, I'm not trying to push this to be insane and have insane stats. It's more about the ability than it is the stats on it. But at 4 health, it's definitely going to get dealt with. Next up, we have 8-cost Count Dooku. He is a ground unit, aggression, villainy, and he's a fallen Jedi. He has 6 attack, 6 health, Force, Separatist, Sith, Exploit 2, has Overwhelm, and when played, for each unit you exploited while playing this card, you may deal damage to an enemy unit equal to the power of the exploited unit. And he's a rare. I like him a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of scenarios where you'll be able to exploit things that have some better attack, or maybe even have like a when defeat. Like, you know, even trying to think back to that single aspect villain that leaves behind like 3 battle droids or something like that. Like, that is kind of where my mind goes of that. Yeah, creates 3 battle droids, has 6 attack when it goes. So if you can do that in like a single battle droid, you can like launch 7 at something. I like him a lot. His art looks fantastic. David did a great job, as always. And, I mean, I think he's just going to see play. I think this is a card that Aggression Villainy needed to kind of break out of their mold. Because really, like, Aggression Villainy just, like, doesn't have much. Like, if you're playing Aggression Villainy, you're playing it just for, like, Ruthless Orator and some removal. And everything else in between is just like, it's not super great. Like, Vader hasn't really been played. Grand Inquisitor hasn't been played. Even, like, you know, going back to the, like, Vader Blue, it's turned into Bosk Blue. And you do get some good stuff in there, but that almost feels to me that it's, like, Bosk is just a good leader, and then, like, the double heal or the double draw is just so backbreaking. More than anything in red villain. You do get some good removal with that stuff, but, like, you're not playing it for the red units. Like, are there even any red units in there? I mean, punishing one, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. He's going to be really good. That's my point. Next, we have a 2-cost ground unit. We have another Bo-Katan, Aggression, Villainy, Death Watch Lieutenant, 2 attack, 3 health, Mandalorian, Trooper. While you control another Mandalorian unit, this unit gains Overwhelm and Saboteur. While you control another Trooper unit, this unit gets +1, +0. Is a rare. Obviously, the potential to be pretty good, but sometimes just playing like a 3/3 is just better. Some of these 2/3s have been a little bit tough. If you have the initiative and you can go and do those things very fast, I think you'll be feeling all right. You know, even just like opening her into a Death Watch Loyalist could be some interesting plays. And there should be plenty of troopers, especially with the battle droids, the tokens being troopers as well. They're not Mandalorian, so you want to Overwhelm and Saboteur, but I feel like it's going to be more important to make her a 3/3 than it will to give Overwhelm and Saboteur right away. And they almost feel like counteracting abilities. Like, if I have Saboteur, do I really care about Overwhelm? Maybe. I mean, some of these droids, like I said, you definitely want to interact with your opponent's board more to go into set 3 than you have previously, and getting an Overwhelm is going to be nice. Then we have some of the stuff that was just spoiled today. We have a legendary 7-cost ground unit clone, Just Command. 0 attack, 0 health, trait clone. You may have this unit enter play as a copy of a non-leader, non-vehicle unit in play, except it gains the clone trait and is not unique. Only the card's printed attributes are copied. So that's health, that's abilities, that's tags, that's all the things like that. I know there were some questions about that, like why would I want to pay this just to copy stats on something else? But you do get the abilities, and you should get the when played. So copying things like Luke or Dooku or whatever is interesting. Copying Snoke is pretty funny because then your opponent's board has -4/-4 across it. But it's just one of those things where this feels like a high risk and like medium payoff reward. Like, obviously, if you get 2 Snokes on the board, that's pretty good, but you needed to have a Snoke on the board anyways, which is probably helping your board state anyways. Not being able to copy stuff like Avenger definitely hurts. Obviously, that would be probably incredibly too good. But I like this ability. I think it's really neat. I think it's a card that I think could sneak into some decks, but being reliant, having a potential dead card in your hand because the board feels bad. But the fact that this can scale up to different things and copy a 8 or 9 cost could make it a little bit more playable. But sometimes it's just like, rather than copy stuff, why not just play like something that like I'm always thinking like, if you pay this for 7 to get an 8, that feels good. But you could also like just play Palp's Return and just play things again in the villain green at least. So I like this, but I don't know how amazing it'll be. It feels a little risky. And then we got who we just got this morning, which is Anakin Skywalker, What It Takes to Win, Aggression, Heroism, and he's a leader. Love the art, looks amazing. Kevin did a great job, and has an action, exhaust him, deal 2 damage to your base, attack with a unit. If it's attacking a unit, it gets +2/+0 for this attack. He has Force, Jedi, Republic. Epic action, if you control 6 or more resources, deploy this leader. He comes out as a Force 7, has Overwhelm, and he gets +1/+0 for every 5 damage on your base. I love this. I think this, obviously, you read that at first, it's like, why would I ever want to deal damage to my base? But there's definitely got to be scenarios where you're going to trade up into stuff that is actually going to save you more damage than the 2 that you would have taken if you weren't able to deal with that unit, right? You know, just thinking like, even like Yoda's a 2/4 for 3, which can be pretty tough. But hey, you give him +2, he trades into 4/4s. He trades into K2SOs and things like that. If they did an ECL, 4-LOM obviously irrelevant because 4-LOM just going to ambush in. But even like some of these 3-attack units that you're like, man, I can't get to that 5. That's kind of annoying. But it's certainly interesting, and it's almost just like, I'm curious, does he just go with blue to help heal? Does he kind of lean into taking damage and stuff like that to make sure he gets that +1 when he deploys at 6? But I like him a lot. I think his ability being free, not needing coordinate, just simply dealing damage to your base to give him +2 to your units to help you trade at an effective level. I think it's going to be very, very relevant. Yeah, I mean, like... Again, I'm thinking blue still restore. That's where I'm at. But like a Kanan trading up into a Poe and then you playing an actual 5-drop could be very, very good. So I like Anakin a lot. His artwork looks amazing. I'm excited for the showcase. So I'll be looking at Anakin and Yoda are, like, to me, the things keeping me excited for heroism going into set 3. Not to say all the other ones are really that bad, but just those are the 2 that are standing out for me. I'm not very excited for Rex, actually, too. I don't know how he'll turn out, but excited anyways. And then we have Fives, who is a 5-cost ground unit, Cunning, in search of truth. 5 attack, 5 health, Republic clone trooper, Saboteur. When you play an event, you may put a clone unit from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. Rare. I like this. Where it fits, I don't know, but it's certainly any deck where I notice that I have a decent amount of clones. I think you take a look at Fives. The when you play an event isn't very hard to get to, especially in Cunning. There's a lot of good ones as well. And then, you know, you stack 1 back into your deck and you draw a card. I mean, I think that you're probably not going to see those clones at the bottom, but you're drawing a card is kind of the important part for that. So I don't think there's any search your deck for a clone or anything like that. But I like Fives. I think he's interesting. I mean, 5/5 feels a little bad with Anakin and like Poe and some of these bigger units coming out. I mean, there's even some 4-drops that he's not trading with, like Morgan and 4-LOM and stuff like that. So his stats aren't amazing, mostly looking at his ability. Saboteur, you can maybe just ram him into base every time because you're not going to make an effective trade anyways or something. So he's interesting, but I struggle a little bit more. And then lastly, this should be the last one, is Saw Gerrera. 6-cost ground unit, aggression, heroism. Resistance is not terrorism. 4 attack, 8 health, fringe trooper. He has raid 2, and he has on attack. If your base has 15 or more damage on it, deal 1 damage to each enemy ground unit. And he's a rare. I mean, obviously great against these exploit swarm decks. With that on attack, you're going to get there with Anakin, especially by that round. And what I really like about him is that he gets around takedown and he gets around fell. And he's still, you know, he's like a 6/8. You know, I know he only does 4 if you hit it, if they're hitting into him. But I don't know. I like that. I like that ability. I think at times playing with it, it'll definitely feel bad that it's just 4 base attack because that can make some awkward trades for you or things that you end up feeling frustrated if Poe hits into you and discards a card and then to deal 2 more and then Poe kills you and then Poe's still living with 2 health. You know, as we get to these 5 to 6 costs, right, this is where you want to start to see an immediate impact, and Saw Gerrera just does not have that. Just his natural ability to dodge those takedown and fell, to me, I think is pretty good, but we'll need to see, you know, what the full set of spoilers and cards and what the removal fully looks like going into set 3. But for me, Saul looks pretty good simply just for that. And then obviously 6 damage and being able to ping all the other enemy units for 1 is pretty good. 8 health is obviously a beefy boy. So I'm interested in it. I like it. And yeah, that's all what we got for today. This should go up pretty much Monday as soon as I'm done and hit upload and all that fancy stuff. And we've got a bunch more spoilers, I'm sure, at the end of the week that we'll have to cover for y'all, because this is it. This is the week we're getting all the leaders. We're getting a bunch of spoilers. There'll still be a handful left for the press kits and for their draft and for, pre-releases and stuff like that. So you won't have every card this week, but we're going to have all the big stuff, I'm sure, or at least, all the leaders, so you can start speculating and building your decks, getting ready. But if you're me, I've got a a PQ on Saturday, so I still have to focus on set 2 just a little bit. But anyways, I'm rambling. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and I will catch y'all next time.